know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
And why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin.
We should be close now.
We're not going to find them.
We will. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, we were friends for many years, and they're out there.
Christopher, we need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happened here, okay?
So yes, hello everybody, this is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite home for all your British news, reviews and exclusive interviews. I like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, which I'm pretty sure you all know by now. And tonight we have an interview, no review, no rewatch, nothing like that. We've got an interview with the awesome Amber Doig-Thorne from the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about this movie at this point, so it was great to get when the chance came along to speak to Amber. And of course, Amber, we've covered a few other movies and projects that you've been involved in over the years and whatnot, and you're a bit of a Jagged Edge Productions kind of regular at this point now. So it was great to see you coming up into this one. But yeah, that is going to be my first question. This movie got banded around on the internet for a little while when the Winnie the Pooh IP came into the public domain, and all of a sudden people were talking about what we're going to do with this. All of a sudden, Jagged Edge Productions are like, let's make a horror movie out of it.
Because why not?
Because why not? And then the next thing we know, we've got Amber in there. So can you tell us a little bit about how you came onto the project, how you heard about it, and how you got the part?
Yeah, of course. So I'd worked with a production company before on another horror film called The Return of Krampus, and I actually saw the casting call for Blood and Honey online. And when I first saw it, I thought it was a joke, so I just scrolled past. And then I realized, I was like, oh, wait, I recognize that production company. I've worked with them before. Maybe it's not a joke. So I scrolled past and I was like, oh, it's serious. Okay, let's give this a read. And I read the synopsis and I just thought it sounded really fun. Like when I was growing up, I was obsessed with Winnie the Pooh. Absolutely loved the character. And I'm a really big fan of horror films. So I thought, you know what? There's this really, really cool opportunity to merge those two things that I love together, which I never really thought I'd have the opportunity to do because I feel like there's not that many films like turning childhood characters into serial killers. So yeah, I read the script, absolutely loved it, applied for the role of Alice, who I play. And another big tick in the box for me, alongside it being a unique idea, is the fact that Alice is in an LGBT relationship. And I feel like there's not enough representation for queer characters, especially in low budget horror. So the fact that there is authentic representation in this script, and her sexuality is just a part of who she is, you know, it's not something that's like shoved in the audience's faces. That was really important to me. So that's how I came on board.
Yeah, I like that because it's sort of one of those things that, yes, we need it represented a little bit more, but it's kind of like it doesn't need to be the reason they're in the movie or the main being of the character. And in this film, it is kind of just like, I'm not saying it's just something to the side because it's very much not. It's there, but it's not shoehorned in, if you know what I mean. It's not, you know, and that's great. So how important, I guess you've already said it is important, but how important really is it for you to make sure you get that right?
So it was incredibly important. I watched as many films as I could that had queer characters in. And I spoke to friends as well who are part of that community because I feel like there isn't enough representation on screen, whether that's with regards to gender equality, ethnicity, sexuality. And I feel like when it's done, it's not always done right. And anytime I see a script where there is representation, I'm like, right, okay, I have to jump at this opportunity because I think as actors, we're responsible for kind of being a part of that change. And the response that I've had from the film is amazing. I did this interview with Metro, I think it was about a month ago now, and I didn't realize the lady who was interviewing me was also part of the LGBTQ plus community. And obviously I was saying all of this in the interview and she was just kind of smiling to herself. And then afterwards she wrote this really nice article about how I was like, you know, promoting this representation. And I was like, oh, and apparently I've become a bit of like an icon for the LGBT community, which is really exciting.
Hey, they all buy tickets, so. But no, that's awesome. That's a great kind of like, and that answers a question I've got a little bit later for you. But first of all, you have been absolutely doing the rounds. Winnie the Pooh, the Blood and Honey movie, is out now. People can see it, and you have been everywhere. You've been on the BBC. You've been on CNBC, ABC, all the letters. You've been on all these. How has the Whistle Stop tour been, and how have you enjoyed going out and basically promoting the movie and promoting yourself?
Yeah, so it's been amazing. I think whenever you do these types of films, and I've done like 25 low budget horror films now, and when you make the film, you just hope that people are going to want to see it. But normally it's a straight to DVD or straight to a streaming platform scenario. So this is really kind of a once in a lifetime thing when it comes to really low budget filmmaking, because I mean, this film was made for £20,000. It was a shoestring budget. And I had a feeling when we were filming that it was going to do well, but I never anticipated that it would have a global cinematic release. And for example, like we had our world premiere in Mexico. I've never been to Mexico, always wanted to go. So I was like, yes, please. Don't get me wrong. It was expensive. Like flights and accommodation for these things really do add up quickly. But at the end of the day, like it's an amazing experience, and getting to meet fans from all around the world is probably like my highlight of the last few years. It's just been amazing. And people seem to really like the film, which just like, it's heartwarming, as cringy as that sounds.
And I know you're saying you guys didn't know what to expect, and obviously when it all came about, it went a little bit viral. Then the movie starts getting made, and was there any kind of on the set when you were in production and all that, and in post production and everything, that you were thinking we better do well with this because people are expecting something now?
So, fun fact. There was actually, there was, I think, 4 reshoots of the ending. So we did our principal production in 8 days. And it was after that the stills were released and it went viral. And then the distributors apparently gave the production company more money because obviously the film had gone viral. So they were like, right, maybe we should make this a little bit better. So they reshot the ending. And then I think they released the trailer. And it went viral again. And the distributors were like, hey, guys, here's some more money, make it even better. So they reshot the ending again, and then it happened again. And I think in total there was like 3 or 4 different reshoots, and then in the final reshoot there ended up being like a car explosion. So they went full Michael Bay with that one. I felt like I was on a bloody Transformers set. It was awesome.
You can really see as well, because the movie is mostly practical. There's I believe there's a few VFX and all that, but on some of the deaths and stuff like that. But the deaths look absolutely fantastic, and that was one of the things that I noticed like really early on while watching the movie. I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like, I thought this was low budget. These deaths are like awesome. What was it like? They were brilliant. What I did want to ask though is, so you're running around in the woods, mostly female cast, which is absolutely fantastic. How, and this is going to sound weird, how do you suspend your disbelief enough when you've got an 8-foot Winnie the Pooh and Piglet running at you to be scared for your life when, as you say, you grew up as a child with these characters?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, the Winnie the Pooh that I grew up with does not look like this Winnie the Pooh. The one that I grew up with wore like a red crop top and no pants, and thank goodness they did not go down this route for this film, because that would be a very different type of film. So obviously the Pooh in Blood and Honey is very, very different. So straight away, as soon as I read the script, I was like, right, we're going to be separating these two because I don't want it to actually ruin my childhood. But I did think that I'd find it funny. And when I first saw the actor Craig in his Winnie the Pooh costume, like, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry because it was funny, but it was also like genuinely scary. It was just weird. And he has this really big imposing presence. Like, he does a lot of martial arts. He's a big guy. And I was like, well, I was looking at Bear because he's like 6 foot something. And I was like, oh, Winnie the Pooh's a bit scary now. Okay. Kind of ignored it. And then as soon as we were filming, I genuinely forgot about the Winnie the Pooh from my childhood. And I was just focusing on the fact, like, oh my God, this 6-foot monster's trying to kill me. This is not ideal. So I got very immersed in it very quickly.
And one scene that I do have to ask in particular, and I'm betting you've heard about this scene, you've been asked about this scene quite a lot, I'm betting. You are lying on a table or on a slab, and you have Pooh standing over the top of you, which still sounds hilarious, dribbling all over your face.
Yep, into my eyeballs.
How do you not, like, how do you keep... I mean, you're an actress. You're an actress. That's obvious. But how on earth do you keep yourself composed enough to get through that scene?
So that scene took us a while, but not for the dripping honey bit. So at the beginning of that scene, there's this part where Pooh's like eating his honey and he's like munching away. And then I think my head rolls over and a bit of spit like drops on the wood next to me and it gets his attention. But the way he turns around is so dramatic. He's eating his honey and all of a sudden he's like, and it's the funniest thing. And when we filmed that part, everyone kept laughing. Like the director kept laughing to the extent that I was like, bro, please, can you stop? Like, I'm trying to be scared here. And I just hear him in the background, like, hee hee hee. And there were so many moments that were so funny. But that part with Pooh dribbling the honey over my eyes, it wasn't so much staying composed as trying not to be like blinded, because I think we did 3 takes and the first 2 were fine. And in Mexico, they used the first take. But for some reason, when I went to the UK premiere, I saw that they'd used the final take. And that was the take where the honey went in my eye. So you try not to move around too much. So in the other takes, I was like, and in the final one, it went in my eye. So I'm like dodging and weaving and trying to get away from this blooming honey. And it just looks a bit weird, but they went with that take for some reason. And yeah, I can confirm honey should not go in the eyes. It stings a lot. We'll not be repeating that again.
And we've talked a little bit about the VFX on the death scenes and all that, but the practical in this movie as well. What can you tell us about primarily the set of where Pooh and Piglet kind of live, the houses and everything? When the movie goes into there, it totally it takes on this whole sort of like the house in Texas Chainsaw Massacre almost feels like its own character. 100 Acre Wood and their little abodes, if you will, really feels like their own little character. What do you know about how that was built, or was that an already practical set, or was it just there?
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's interesting because a lot of people are saying, oh, the set design's amazing. That wasn't set design, that's an Airbnb.
Nice.
Like we turned up and everything was there already. There was like a few very small changes that the set designers did do. Like I think they put like some fur in the background and then some honey pots, obviously, because Winnie the Pooh doesn't actually live there, funnily enough. But no, like the big like silver metal containers, they were all there already. The fire pit was there already. Because like I said, it's an Airbnb and that's kind of how it's listed as like a rural outdoory escape, but kind of modern at the same time. And each of those caravans is like a little sleeping pod. So everything was there when we arrived and they just made some very small changes. But personally, I really liked that because sometimes when it is a set that's been built, it doesn't feel as realistic, obviously. So the fact that when we showed up, like the crew were actually sleeping in those caravans and we were spending a lot of time living there as well. So it kind of gave like an extra level to like how we felt in the environment, which was really cool. And it was a fantastic set. Like it was such a cool location to use. I want to go back to that Airbnb, maybe without Pooh and Piglet, but I think it'd be nice for a little weekend away.
That was kind of one of my things though, as I'm sitting watching it, and then when you get into that, obviously you have like the house before that, but when you get into that part of the set, I'm like, oh man, I hope that's just 100% real, and I want to go there. And there are some weird people living in the woods.
Well, the weird thing is, it was like when we got to the location, I was so confused because it's like this huge house that looks like a manor and sprawling countryside. I mean, whoever owns that house is very, very wealthy. And then to the side, they just have this odd area of these caravans. Yeah, and I was just like, I don't really know what's going on here. Like, because someone had a bit of a weird childhood and they wanted to bring to life what they imagined Pooh and Piglet's lair would be like if they were serial killers. Like, I don't know. It's very weird, but perfect for the film. So we should be thanking them, I guess.
So that's like one of my absolute favorite things in there in the movie, and this movie was filmed on a shoestring, as you say, in a short period of time, as you say as well. Is there any part of the movie that independent movies are hard to make at the best of times, but is there any part of it, or when you were on set, or when you've seen it since in the cinema, that you look at it and you think, you know what, that was a hard day and we smashed that?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was probably, can I say spoilers?
Of course you can.
Okay.
It's up to you. It's your film.
Okay. I mean, it's out now. Like, it's been in cinemas. It's on Amazon Prime. People can watch it if they want to. But before it came out in cinemas, I like accidentally spoiled something in an interview, and then I was like, oh, this is not good. I'm becoming like the new Tom Holland because he spoils everything. So no, I think we're safe now because it's on Prime, so it's fine. So for me, I think the most difficult day was when I filmed my death scene, because there was 3 scenes towards the end of the day which were challenging for different reasons. So on set we had long days, like 12 hours upwards, sometimes up to like 16, 17, 18 hours, all pretty much exterior for the second half of the film, and night shoots. We're filming in April in England. It's very cold, and my character's wearing a crop top and jeans with no jacket. So the scene where I'm being tied up by Pooh, I was tied up for 9 hours.
Nice.
It was very cold. After a few hours, I was like, please, may I have a blanket? But I was so cold, I was like, please, blanket. And I eventually got one, and it was okay. But yeah, so that was physically challenging because it was so cold. And then straight after that scene, I have the scene where I wake up and my character Alice realizes that her girlfriend's died. And a lot of the actors, I think all of the actresses actually, they were using a tear stick, which is like it's a really quick but fake way of crying. So you just put it under your eyes and it brings tears to the eyes. But because I wear contact lenses, I can't do that. The contact lenses, like, without getting technical, the contact lenses like stop the vapors getting to your eyes. Yeah. So I have to like emotional recall and like genuinely cry. So after being tied up for 9 hours and freezing, I mean, it wasn't that difficult because I was already at a point where I was like, I just want to go home. I'm so cold. But obviously any scene like that where it is emotionally challenging and you are genuinely crying, it's draining, but it's so rewarding. Like when I saw that scene on the big screen, I was so pleased. And then that goes into me killing Piglet, and then it goes into Pooh killing me. And that was all in one day. It was very, very intense, that one, but it was my favorite day by far. But oh my God, that was probably the toughest day I've ever had. There was just a lot going on.
Well, that was your that was your you run around the movie getting hunted most of the movie, but that's your Sarah Connor moment, and everybody loves a good Sarah Connor moment.
Honestly, I've been sent like so many reactions from people around the world in the cinema, like when they see me like kill Piglet, and everyone's like, "Woo!" Because like, I'm the only human to actually get revenge on Pooh or Piglet, and that doesn't really happen in horror films. You don't really get revenge on the killers. So I was excited, and I had a lot of fun filming it, and it seems like people had a lot of fun watching that scene. So that's nice. Piglet
kind of deserved it. So we're going to start wrapping up in a quick hot second, but one thing that I've noticed from all the responses, and I'm loving that this is getting the responses that it's getting. Yes, there are some negatives, but I feel like the positive are outweighing that by a million miles. It's no contest there, but I kind of feel like this movie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, is low-key going to gain itself a cult following. Yeah. How do you think this is going to tie into potential sequels, shared universe? I know they're looking at I think I heard Bambi at one point, which would be incredible. But how do you think that the audience's reaction is going to shape that? So I think the beauty of this film doing so well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to pave the way for other independent films to get a cinematic release, because that is pretty much unheard of, to be honest. And the last time I remember a low-budget film doing this well is The Blair Witch Project, which, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic horror films of all time. So when people say, this could become a cult classic, oh my God, I get like so excited. And I'm like, really? Oh, we'll be in the same category as Blair Witch? How exciting. I mean, the fact that like I said, we filmed for £20,000 and it's already taken in like $6 million worldwide. Yeah. That's crazy. And to me, even just being in cinemas, even if it only took in £10, well, it'd taken more than that because I'd invite my whole family. So it'd taken like £50. But even if that was the case, to me, that's a success. But I just think like kind of the proof is in the pudding in a way. And it's showing that you don't need to have a big budget for people to want to go and see a film. And I think I would say 99% of this film's success is due to the fact that these characters are in the public domain, and because of the IP Winnie the Pooh. So what I am hoping, to answer your question, sorry, I waffle an awful lot, especially when it's something I'm excited about. I am hoping that more people are going to make films like this. There's so many characters that I would love to see turned into horror films. Like, for example, all the Disney princesses and all those fairy tale characters, they started in Brothers Grimm. Like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales were so dark. They're only like, you only need to push them a little bit to make them horror. So I'm really hoping that this will like open the doors for more people to do it, because I had so much fun filming this, so much fun watching it. I've watched it like 5 times now, which is wild. I don't normally watch things that many times in such a short time frame. But yeah, I'm really hoping that people are going to take inspiration from this, because I had a look recently just out of interest, and there's so many characters in the public domain, like so many childhood characters. Yeah, there's a ton out there, and it's about time we just started messing with them and just making them all serial killers.
Exactly. Let's just ruin everyone's childhood. Why not?
And on that, you mentioned quickly there, very very briefly, has Jagged Edge Productions or has yourself or anyone from the crew heard anything from the House of Mouse?
So Disney have not officially commented. I did. I went to the BAFTAs recently, and it was really weird because I bumped into someone who worked at Disney, and they were like, "Oh, you're the girl who killed Piglet," and I was like, "What?" And they were like whispering, like, "You're the girl who killed Piglet. I can't say it too loud. I work at Disney. We're not allowed to watch the film, but I watched it, and it was really good." And I was like, "Do you want to say this on record?" And she was like, "No." And she kind of scurried away. I was like, "Okay, bye." So I know that people at Disney have seen it, but obviously they haven't officially commented. But I think Disney are scared because Mickey Mouse is coming into the public domain next year, so they better watch out.
Let's do it. Let's do it. If there's one way you're going to get them to say something, that'll be the one.
Exactly. He is like their golden boy, so goodness knows what's going to happen with that.
So we're going to round it out in a little bit, and thank you so much for coming on and doing this. By the way, it's been an absolute blast. I could speak to you for hours about this and really get into it, and we will speak again, I'm sure, another time. But another project that you are currently working on or crowdfunding for is Baby in a Basket, which
yes, I'm so excited.
I interviewed Nathan and Tom about the movie. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, amazing.
What can you tell us about your part in this, your character in this, and then are you looking forward to working with Nathan? Because we love Holiday Monday.
I am very excited to work with Nathan because I've not worked with him before. So I've kind of worked with Tom indirectly. I think I first came across Tom when I auditioned for one of his films. Like, I can't remember what it was called, but it was years ago. And then I've acted in like several films that he's written, including most recently Viking Battle of Airs, which was last year. And I do believe I think he told me he was actually meant to write the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey film.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
Fun fact. So we've kind of crossed paths in the past, and then he reached out to me and offered me this role, which was incredibly kind. And I read the script, and it was one of those where I couldn't put it down. You know, there's so many twists and turns, and it's like, basically it's a set in the 1940s in Scotland. It's a gothic horror. I love that genre, and I play Sister Agnes, who's the lead character in the film. As the title suggests, a baby is left in a basket outside a monastery. I take the baby in and kind of look after it as if it's my own. And as soon as the baby's inside the building, like, there's a lot of weird occurrences that start happening, which leads my character to believe that the baby is the son of the devil, but all the other nuns think I'm going a bit crazy. So they put me in isolation, and I start to go crazier, and they think it's because I'm in solitary confinement, but maybe it's because I'm possessed. Maybe it's because he is the son of the devil. Who knows? Anyway, it's going to be a very challenging role, but I'm excited. It's a great script. We've got an incredible cast attached. And I'm, like you say, I was going to say, Tom and Nathan have done amazing films in the past. So I'm really lucky to be working with both of them. I'm very excited.
I think it's definitely one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, and I'm looking forward to you guys getting into it, because the trailer that you guys made, the little teaser, is
cool.
Absolutely stunning trailer. So yeah, I'm up for that, and I look forward to seeing that. So let's round this out and give yourself a minute or two just to let people know where they can find you, what's next, and why they should see Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
Okay, so those three things. I need to remember these now. So people can find me on social media if they just search my full name, which is Amber Doig-Thorne. So I'm on all of the social media channels: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, you name it, I've got it. So I'm on there, and I try to respond to all comments and messages. So if you have any questions about Blood and Honey, fire them my way. Why should people see Blood and Honey? Well, sorry, my kitten's like meowing in the background. I think that's enough reason. I'm like, why should you see it? And she's like, meow, because it's amazing. We're going to get crazy. I don't know what she's meowing at. But you know what? It's just a really fun film. I think when it first came out in America, people thought it was a serious film. And that's why some of the reviews were like, this is not a serious film. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. It's not meant to be serious. And I think if you go into the film understanding what it is, you know, it does what it says on the tin. It's Winnie the Pooh as a serial killer. It's fun, it's gory, there's deaths aplenty. And there's some really great one-liners. I think my favorite quote from the film is from Christopher Robin, where he says, "There's something wrong with Piglet. He killed my wife." And I don't know why, it just cracks me up. Like, that line just randomly pops into my head, and I'm like, oh, Christopher Robin. So no, it's a really, really fun film, and I think people will enjoy it. It's one of those where if you can watch it with like a group of friends, then I think you'll enjoy it. And then other films that I've got coming up, there's 3 that I'm really excited for. So obviously The Baby in the Basket we've already spoken about. Another one called Mr. Hyde, The Untold Story. So it's kind of like Winnie the Pooh in the sense that it's a retelling of a classic story, Jekyll and Hyde. And this one has a really big twist. And when I read the script, I was like, oh, I didn't see this coming. And there's a few twists and turns, but there's a very big one at the end, which I really, really liked. And I play the villain, which is exciting because I have quite like a young, friendly face, apparently, so I don't often get to play the villain. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And then the final one that I'm really excited for is called Dying Breed. It's a Viking film about the end of Slavic paganism. And it's a really beautiful story. It's like a battle for love, a battle for freedom, a battle for belief. And it's about a group of Rus Vikings who are sailing to Scandinavia to try and find like a safe haven. They end up shipwrecked in England, come across a group of Saxons where yours truly appears. There's a love triangle, there's fights aplenty, oh my God, yeah, it's awesome. I love the script. I edited the script, so I'm co-producing it. We've just got a Swedish film production called Film Snickerate involved, and now we've got like a director and a DOP, and it's the first feature film where I've had so much involvement, not just as an actor, but as a producer as well, co-writing the script. So it kind of feels like my baby in a weird way, but I'm just so excited because each of those 3 films that are coming out are completely different. We've got like a gothic horror, kind of an action drama, and then like a Viking medieval one. So I'm like, this is great. If I want to show I've got range, this is the perfect selection of films to make. So I'm excited for all of them.
I mean, I was a huge fan of the TV show Vikings. I binge watched that in about a week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, definitely. And is that something you want to do going forward? Like more of the production and the getting properly involved?
Yeah, so I've always done like writing, directing, producing. My first writing commission was with BBC 3. They commissioned me as like a comedy writer performer for their Laugh Lessons, which is on BBC 3 on TV, which is pretty cool. And I've produced short films, documentaries. I've directed so many comedy shorts, but it's always kind of been on the backseat to acting. And with this project, I've kind of had the opportunity to have a more hands-on approach. And you know what? I really enjoy it. I can definitely see myself doing this more moving forward. Like acting will always be my priority because that's like my main love. But if the opportunities arise for me to do some producing and some directing as well, I really enjoy it. It's good fun.
Well, you heard it here, folks. We are not going to be seeing the back of Amber Doig-Thorne anytime soon. Again, I've already reviewed Blood and Honey. It's in the feed down below. You can go over to nerdly.co.uk. They've got numerous reviews over there for it. We've all had a punt at it because everybody was just like, you know what? We got to watch this movie. And it turned out it was damn fun. So, who doesn't want to see Winnie the Pooh kill people? Like, who doesn't want to see that? But Amber, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. Thank you for chatting to us, and hopefully we shall speak again soon.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, honestly. This was such a fun interview.
They always are. I'm the best at it.
You really are. I'm so modest as well.
Oh,